What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Elrond, the Elladan nerf, all the drama about what's going on, and CG hopefully getting things improved for the future so we don't run into this issue again. We're going to break that all down in today's video. And we're going to kind of start by talking about Elrond's kit, and when we get down to the bottom, we're going to talk about how you unlock him, and this is where things kind of fell off the rails for CG yesterday, because there was a lot of wrong information in the original post. And then we'll dive into Elladan and talk about CG's response to everything. So Elrond, Healer Light Rivendell, best with Arwen and Elladan, obviously. You can see light alignment, makes sense. Rivendell faction also has the staff category here on his weapon type. Not that it really does much right now, but his basic is Ageless Wisdom. I cannot speak this morning. At max upgrade, attacks the target enemy for 170% damage and grants 1 stack of regeneration for 2 turns to the most wounded squad member. Already off to a pretty good start there. His special one is called Vilya's Light, and this is where things get really fun. This is the resurrection ability. At max upgrade, he heals all squad members for 15% of his character's max health, grants protection for 1 turn and 1 stack regeneration for 1 turn to the most wounded squad member, and then revives a random elf ally with 65% of their max health. If there are no elf allies to revive, he gets 2 stamina for this ability. This comes at a 4 stamina cost. So if you're healing up your team and there's no one dead, this is actually going to be a 2-turn heal. That's not bad at all. It punishes you for having to revive somebody and rewards you for keeping your whole team alive, which is good. I like that. Also, I do want to note, this was nerfed originally. Originally, this was 20% of his max health, and the Elf Revive was at 75% instead of 65%. So both those things were adjusted in the midst of all the drama yesterday morning. And then his special 2, Wrath of Rivendell, I believe this also got a little bit of a nerf too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it did. Attack all enemies 280% damage, and reduce their turn meter by 6% per boon on self, up to a maximum of 5 booms for additional 30% turn meter. Inflict slow for 2 turns. This, I believe, was 330% originally. The turn meter I don't think was reduced at all, but you can see a lot of synergy with boons. And when you get down to his leadership, you're going to see the boons get a little ridiculous, and you're going to see why this Rivendell team has so many boons flying around on them. The synergy is just nuts. And then his passive ability, House Eternal. On turn, heal the most wounded squad member for 7% of this character's max health and grant them 1 stack of counter. The first time this character drops below 40% health, gain 1 stack of Unbreakable for each Rivendell ally alive, or still alive. And then his leadership ability, Lord of Rivendell. Here we go. On Rivendell's squad member turn, if they have no Banes, gain Fortitude for 1 turn and extend the duration of 2 of their boons by 1 turn. Elf squad members gain 4% bonus damage per boon, up to a maximum of 20% for 5 boons, and then light squad members also gain 10% max health. Now, I don't know if he gets this 10% bonus max health in his leadership ability. It says squad members, so I assume he doesn't, but that's something we'll have to ask CG for clarification on. But also, here you go, extending boons. This is where things get really crazy. So you have Elladan with his boons, you have Arwen with her boons, and then you have Lomian and Elrond here also gain a bunch of boons. Like, all of this, they're going to be extending. They gain Fortitude for 1 turn, which I believe also increases their resistance, which is even better, because we already talked about in our Arwen review. Arwen has top-tier resistance, so now her resistance is going to be even better with this. And this is also going to be very interesting to point out that if they have no Banes. So if you start getting Banes on the Elf team, well, then the leadership stops working, and that's very, very interesting. We've already been theory crafting some ways that you can use certain characters to counter this by getting a consistent number of Banes on the team. And this is where I think the Witch King and the Nazgul team is going to really excel at countering Rivendell, because they're just going to hand out Banes all day long. Arwen doesn't have a reliable cleanse, so, you know, once those Banes are on and you get Arwen to use her cleanse, well, then they're on for a while. So these, you start getting Banes on the Rivendell team, and it's going to make this whole team kind of fall apart, especially with this leadership. They don't get the extension of the Banes, but, you know, at least they get some bonus max health, and they do get some bonus damage for all the boons on them. So this is where Lomian, with his kit, where he gets the bonus crit chance per boon on him. Also, Elrond here gets the bonus damage on his basic per boon on himself, with the retaliation as well, coupling in with that with Elladan. This leadership is very interesting. It's overall, this kit on paper looks really, really good. Not as good as it did yesterday when the things were originally released, but overall this still looks really good, and I think the Rivendell team is going to be really solid. I don't know if they're going to dominate Arena, but in PvE they should absolutely slap. So I do think this is going to be a very good raid PvE team. We'll see how everything pans out, but I'm feeling pretty good about them. Key attributes here, should know that he has one of the 3 Elven Rings, Vilya. Also, no Ring Bearer tag at this time, which maybe Gollum and Smeagol are way down the road then, because of the way they synergize with Ring Bearers. And then also, it should be noted that he is going to have incredibly low health. His leadership ability only works if you keep Banes off your squad members, but also be used to keep his heal can revive, but also be used to keep your allies alive and avoid such a fate. And he himself does not have much health. So yeah, this is where you're gonna want a lot of you're going to keep him protected. And yeah, while that 2-turn heal is 15% of his max health, if he's got lower end health, probably somewhere in the range of hobbits, it would not surprise me. He's still, he's going to get the Unbreakables through his passive, where each Rivendell ally is still alive, so he can get 4 stacks of Unbreakable on himself. Arwen will give him Nimble at the same time, and then every time he takes a turn, he's able to extend those as long as he doesn't have Banes on them. So overall, this kit looks pretty good. The real drama came in the explanation of his event. So it starts Monday, June 26th. They actually said June 23rd first, which was a date that didn't exist. You're also going to need elves to unlock him, which we already figured. So you need 5 elves at 5 stars to unlock Elrond. But then things got really, really interesting. There was stuff in here yesterday about how Tier 3 would unlock a 3-star Elladan, which made a lot of people confused. They're like, wait, so is Elladan part of the Elrond legendary? Like, do we then have to, kind of, like, do we have to then go chase the other 5 elves to unlock Elrond? Like, what's going on here? There was a big cluster in terms of what happened with this. Wrong information. The kits were wrong. Elladan's kit was also wrong. And it made a lot of people unhappy. And CG Hemophilus kind of stepped in because, yeah, things need to be explained. And that's here in this post where she pretty much says, yeah, we stuffed up. We're really sorry. It's a painful learning experience. Nothing has been rebalanced days or weeks out without testing carried out way in advance. Pretty much what happened was that they used old kits before things were balanced, and no one caught it before it went live. At least, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and defend them. And at least, for us, at least these kits were adjusted before Elladan arrived. Could you imagine if we built up Elladan, invested in him, and then found out the kits were wrong? Like, how upset people would be? So, at least they caught things beforehand. And they do talk about how they're going to have things in place now. And this is their first time doing these kit reveals for this game. I'm willing to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but if it happens again, well, then we need to have a discussion about what's going on. And, this kind of gives deja vu to what Scopely does all the time. And Scopely constantly talks about how they're their biggest critics, and, nothing ever seems to get fixed. I'm willing to wait and see if they do get things fixed for next time. If things continue like this, then yeah, we're not really going to give them much slack there. But at least they learned. Hopefully things don't get really bad next time. But we'll see what they do. And I do appreciate that they're at least willing to apologize and take measurements to make sure this doesn't happen again in the future. But yeah, we'll see what happens there in the future. So now let's go back over to Elladan and his kit, and a couple things. The big things that were nerfed were pretty much damage across the board, and all of his abilities were nerfed. I believe this was over 200%. This has been nerfed. He still inflicts weaken. His Plight of Imladris, again, I think these animations are backwards. This is supposed to be his second special. This was pointed out, they never got this fixed. So hopefully my message to CG Hemophilus gets through. They do get this adjusted. But the big thing here is that on his Pride of Imladris, he only grants deadly to himself and 2 random allies now instead of 3. That was changed. He still gets 3 stacks of provoke, and he gains 1 stack of regeneration for 2 turns. But that deadly now to only 2 random allies, that's interesting. You know, I had concerns about the RNG with only giving it to 3 allies before. Now I'm more worried about this with only 2 random allies. That can make things really, really dangerous, especially in mirror matches. Not a big fan of that. His second special, Ancient Skill, this is the one that gives stamina on boons. It used to give 4 stacks of Provoke, now it only gains 2 stacks of Provoke. The damage here as well, I believe, was nerfed. But he is still gaining 1 stamina for this ability per boon on himself. And then that's where you have the bonus resistance with his passive. That's where you have Lord Elrond's leadership, where he's extending those boons out. You're at least going to get 2 boons on him extended per turn. He's also got a chance to gain nimble. We'll get to that passive here as well. So there's a good chance that he could get 3 to 4 stamina per turn very easily with this ability. Overall, it's not bad. So you're still going to be able to use this ability quite a bit, but it's not as strong as it was before. Then his passive ability, on turn, 70% chance to gain 1 stack of nimble. This was 100% chance before. They have nerfed that. Is now only a 70% chance. Not a big fan of this RNG stuff with these passives. If I had to design this, I'd say, you know, if he's below 50% health, this changes to like 100% chance to gain a stack of nimble. You know, at least give something where you're still able to reliably gain stacks of nimble, but rolling the dice to get nimble, like, I'm just not a big fan of that. There's got to be something in the kit that at least kind of helps guarantee it in some way. He also gets the bonus 10% resistance, which I imagine is going to be stacking, but again, we don't know for sure, but still, bonus 10% resistance per turn. Add that in to the fortitude where he doesn't have any banes on him. He's going to be very hard to get debuffs on him, and then he's also going to be extending those banes, or those boons. So I'm overall still, this kit looks really good. Not as good as it did before. It sucks, but you know, that was part of the issue where they were using old, outdated information and no one caught it. And again, if they get things fixed for the future, we'll see how things go. But if this continues, yeah, it's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. But, you know, we'll see how CG does with this kind of stuff in the future. That's going to kind of wrap it up here. Let me know what you guys think of Elrond's kit and the changes to Elladan. Are you guys still excited for Elladan? I know I am. Let me know down below. Again, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.